Election day is fast approaching, and like the rest of the country, Mainers will be heading to the polls to decide who will be in the Oval Office. Not only that, it will be decision day for a host of other local political races too. In the lead up to decision day here on ARC Maine, we'll be hearing from the candidates running for major offices in our state. With us this morning is Ron Russell, the Republican candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Maine's 1st District. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Katie.
So first of all, can you tell us why you're running for office and what you think makes you the right person for the job?
I'm running for office because I was not happy with the direction our country is going after the last election. So I felt kind of hopeless in North Carolina, where I moved from, back to Maine, and I didn't know how to have an impact on changing the country. I thought, you know, I could write a letter to the editor, or I can run for local government, but that would not have the impact that I thought I needed to have. So I decided to move back to Maine to run for the United States Congress. I think I'm the right person for the job because of my experience. I've spent 30 years in the United States Army, served at all levels and commanded at all levels. A lot of decision making going on in that 30 years, a lot of experiences. I got to see an awful large part of the world. I'm a trained strategic thinker from the Army War College, so that experience lends itself to serving in Congress. The other aspect is, after I retired from the military, I started a small business, and for the first 2 years I kept the books for that business. So I got to understand how money works in a business. People said, watch your cash flow when we started, and that was kind of a duh moment for me. Of course you're going to watch your cash flow. It's like managing a household checking account. But there were some things that factored into watching the cash flow that I hadn't counted on, and so we had to invest more money to keep the business going. That all sorted out after we got our first checks. We were all working right from the get-go, but seeing how all that worked was amazing. Most important thing is I got to see how the government can impact a business positively and negatively, and unfortunately most of it was negative. Small businesses get a lot of additional help from the government, but not nearly as much as you would think, or that they really need. So having that experience, signing the front end of a check as opposed to the back side of a check, is also an important experience to have.
It's fair to say you face an uphill challenge with Congresswoman Shelley Pingree serving as the U.S. representative of Maine's 1st District since 2009. What makes you different from her, and what makes you think that you could win this election?
I don't think there's any difference between Shelley and I, candidly. I think what the difference is the policies that we support. And the policies that have been in place for the last 4 years have caused this decline in our nation and in our state there, candidly. So that's what I hope to change. The interests that she has and that I have, I think, are similar. It's the how we go about achieving those interests. That's what is different. The other key aspect of a difference between her and I is the job is representative. That means you have to get out and talk to the people that you are representing. You have to hold town halls and meetings. You have to get out and meet with the people, not only to report on what you've been doing in Washington, D.C. and the trends in Washington, D.C., but to find out how Mainers feel about how they want you to vote. You are their representative. You are there to cast a vote that represents their interests. And I don't think she does that in most cases. She certainly doesn't get out and meet with the people to the extent that I think you need to do. I've committed to coming back every weekend that I possibly can and holding town halls and meetings around Congressional District #1, so I understand what the people think and they understand what I'm doing in Washington, D.C. on their behalf.
What are the big issues that you see in Maine's 1st District, or what are you hearing from constituents?
No different than what you're hearing around the country. The economy has a huge impact here in Maine. People are very, very concerned. We're losing a lot of our younger citizens because they can't find really meaningful or fruitful employment here, and they're traveling to states where the cost of living is significantly lower than it is here in Maine. Taxes are atrocious here in Maine. We used to joke about Taxachusetts when I was growing up. We can't do that anymore. We are fast becoming one of the highest taxed states in the United States. That is unsustainable here for the people in Maine. So that's what I think we can get accomplished here.
Housing also continues to be a big issue for people across the country, including in Maine. What would you do to help improve that situation, specifically in Maine's 1st District?
I think we are 80,000 units, housing units short in Maine. That is really amazing. And it really stems from an affordability crisis, I think, and it's a supply and demand issue. So we have to build more housing. Well, building more housing costs money, and in the economy right now, that's a difficult task to achieve. So I think when we get the economy under control, when we start reducing inflation to the degree that it was 4 years ago, the steps that we have taken to mitigate that inflation rise by increasing the interest rates when you apply for a loan at the bank. Those interest rates will start coming down when inflation starts coming down, and it will make housing more affordable. I think we need to build more units, what I would call starter units for starter families. They don't need 4-bedroom homes. I have a friend who is a builder, and he is now building 2-bedroom homes which are affordable for starter families. It's like a starter job at McDonald's. You shouldn't plan on spending the rest of your life at McDonald's as a career unless you move up through their administrative ranks, their management ranks. It's a starter job, and you should look to move on to other things. It's the same for housing. We probably need more starter homes for our young families that are affordable, beautiful homes. I mean, these are not shacks that he is building. They're wonderful homes, and we need more of that.
Finally, what's the final message that you'd like to leave with potential voters?
I said this when I won the primary. I had been dealing mostly with Republicans up to that point in time, but my message for our voters here in Maine is I will represent all of the constituents in Congressional District Number 1. As you are aware, we have more Democrats than we do Republicans in Congressional District Number 1. So if the Democrats outweigh the Republicans in terms of their input to me on how they want me to vote on an issue, that's likely the way I'm going to vote on an issue. I think Republican policies will carry the day because I think those policies are far more beneficial to the citizens of Maine and the citizens of the United States. So even though Democrats outweigh Republicans and unenrolleds, I still think we can come to a good conclusion there as to where we need to proceed in the United States Congress.
All right. Ron Russell, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kate. I really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.